Right, we're going to go to the next one. Now, these were on BBC. These were put, I think, in a bit like the BBC channel about 3:30 to 6 o'clock, 3:30 to 5:30. BBC One on ITV had kids program, and this was Blue Peter, this was your Jackanory, this was your News Round, Battle of the Planets, or Gashaman, as it was known in Japan, everywhere else apart from the UK, Arc 7. This was thrown in there. And it became a bit of lore, and I'll tell you why at the end. I think I've put a couple of these in, and there's a clip at the end. So we'll go into this right away. Legendary.
Charlie and I were in the park. Then this man came up and said, "Would I like to see some puppies?" And I said yes. And I was going to go, but Charlie stopped me. Charlie's reminded me, my mum says I shouldn't go off with people I don't know. Then the man went away. We went and told Mummy, and she said we'd been very good. I got an apple and Charlie got something he likes. He says never go anywhere with men or ladies you don't know.
So it's obviously a very potent message, and obviously it makes a lot of sense, but it's one of those things where it kind of broached into comedy. Oh, darling, you want to see some puppies? Comedy, but serious undertones. Obviously, this memorable character. Did I put another one on this? Yes. Yeah, so simple image. Doesn't have to be fantastic as long as it's colourful, memorable, and this is it. It's now ingrained into the British psyche. Let's go to the next one.
I were out the back when Vera and Dave came by and said, "Come along for a picnic." And I was going, but Charlie said, he says I better
Sound familiar? Let's get to that in a second.
tell Mum where I'm going. So we told him to wait while we went and asked. But Mum was talking to the milkman. And she talked such a long time that when I had asked her and she'd said yes, the others had gone.
No, not very good friends, are they?
Mum asked us why we hadn't gone, and when I told her, she said we'd been good for not going, and would we like a day out with her instead? Charlie says always tell your mummy before you go off somewhere so she knows who you are with.
Yes, one day I didn't, and I upset my father greatly, and I came home late, and I got a kick out the bum. And, yeah, so again, but I think the next one I've put on here is indeed, so this might get a copyright strike, but this past video, did this get to America? Let me know.
Charlie says
As
always
always.
tell your mummy before you go off somewhere.
So yeah, I had to put that in because obviously Charlie says, as I said on the previous video, so ingrained into British culture, into the country psyche, that the Prodigy, one of the most famous tracks, earliest famous tracks, was Charlie. It was this, No Good to Start the Dance, came on the next album was Music for the Guilty Generation, and R.I.P. Keith Flint, just one of the most iconic, legendary techno bands in the UK, and it started just because of this public safety advert. All right, let's skip to the next one. Now, this one, I don't know if I'm going to play all of it because it is 10 minutes. I'll probably get to the end because there's a couple of bits. A couple of days ago, I asked all my Facebook friends if they remembered any of these public information films, if there any that they remember that they want me to talk about. Now, this one came up more than anything, or the elements of this one came up more than most. This goes back a while. Now, the narrator, I believe, is Bernard Cribbins. Now, anybody who knows Doctor Who, I'm sure there's some Whovians over in the States. I think he plays Alf, Donna Noble's dad or granddad. No, sadly, again, no longer with us. All a few of these people. I mean, Keith Chegwin from earlier, he passed away a few years ago. So honestly, this is going back to my youth, and sadly, some of these have passed on. But let's skip through this one because there's one part at the end which absolutely stuck with me all my life. I'm not going to get to the end bit because I don't remember it that well. But let's go from here. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's on the playlist below. I'll put the link down the bottom. This is called Play Safe in 1978, so I would have been 5. Don't remember seeing it in the cartoon version, but I definitely see the clip where we're going to end this section.
Don't forget there are live wires in substations too.
Yeah, what are these substations you keep nattering about?
They're places where electricity comes in from the power stations and is distributed to all the houses and factories nearby. All the equipment here carries thousands of volts. People don't realize that they don't even have to touch it to get a shock. Electricity can jump gaps and pass through your body to Earth.
We're not supposed to go in there.
Oh, go on. There's a gap down there. A gang of kids broke in yesterday. I saw them.
Pass me that bit of wood.
Very small gang of kids, I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't remember seeing the legs being on fire when I was a kid, but I'm sure they did. Couple of things. My little ADHD autistic kid, I was also amazed at how clean those discs things were. But then I realised they were like reactors, so they separate the ground from the. I do know some of this because I do a lot of work or do a lot of deliveries to selling converter substation down on the A20. And he looks exactly like this. Actually, it's more intense than that. I can tell you another story about that, but another time. Yeah, and when he was standing on that little concrete plinth, I thought his feet were backwards. His toes shouldn't have been going over, but I'm assuming there was another concrete post next to it. It just didn't look right in my head. Plus, I also thought the girl was cute. I was a kid, you know. We had these things when we were young. Yeah, that's one of the ones that really stuck with me as a kid. And as growing up, we used to walk to town. And when we walked to town, we walked from Victoria Park into the town centre and in between two substations. So I'd walk past this every weekend. Scared the crap out of me. And I knew never to go through the fences and muck around trying to get my frisbee back. So that I played with frisbees near electricity substations. Seems like a silly thing to do in the first place.
A 66,000-volt shock killed a boy today when he broke into a substation. The electricity board warns children to keep away from substations. Never try to get toys back yourself. Otherwise, you may not live to play with them again.
Poor boy.
It would never have happened if he'd kept out.
Or if he'd been playing somewhere safe.
Exactly. The trouble is, it isn't always the people who do stupid things who are the victims.
Come on, chicken. Come on, throw it up. All right, stand back.
Oh, miscreants, don't remember that bit. that's more for older kids, I'm assuming. Of course, we were primary school teenagers, primary school children rather. Not much else to watch on that video. Yeah, Bernard Cribbins, and there we go. So that's that one. Very much, again, I say it often, you don't think of them much as a kid, but when you look back now, you think, my God, yes, that did work. And it did stick with me, it really got in there. So today, play with frisbees near electrical escalators, wearing Wellington boots. What's next? This one I don't know so much. Again, this is probably more the late night end of TV, switch off before you go to bed kind of thing.
Motorways are built for
Capri,
fast-moving traffic.
Renault,
Don't stop,
Rolls-Royce,
even on the hard
Cortina.
shoulders, unless you really have to. And then be careful. Because remember, hard shoulders are only for emergencies. They're not for casual stops. Or your children's convenience. Not for checking maps or changing drivers. Getting it wrong could cost you your money, up to a £1,000 fine.
Hi, yeah, just going to quickly interject here. As ironic and coincidental as it is, Monday I had to go out on the truck because we're kind of short on drivers for holidays and whatever. The weather down here has been absolutely torrential. Yesterday was really bad. Today not so bad, but I was off work for a funeral. But I was driving, if you know the M20 in Kent et al., I was driving from junction 11 to junction 10A. Visibility was down to 50 yards, if that. Putting on, took it down to 50 miles an hour, however much that is in kilometres an hour, you American types. But I'm driving along, and no word of a lie, that scene there was exactly what I came across. Somebody had pulled over to the hard shoulder, but instead of pulling far over to the left, as you're supposed to do in this country, they pulled over to the right-hand side of their tyres of the car, were touching the white line that separates the main carriageway from the safety of the hard shoulder. And so, lo and behold, what you just saw that woman do, I think it's Michelle Detrice, who used to be in Some Mothers Do Have Them. However, this woman, torrential rain, visibility down to 50 yards, right-hand side of the hard shoulder, walks around the front of her car, into the carriageway I'm in, and opens her door. Now bear in mind, I'm just about conscious of what's going on. I look in my right-hand mirror and there's a car on my right-hand side. I can't move over. So I do the best I can. I think I must have missed her by about a foot, 12 inches, 30 centimetres. So that was 1960, 1970, and the message still hasn't got through. Some people are just a Darwin Award waiting to happen. Makes sense. Would you have them in America on your freeways? I'm assuming you would. The wrong side of the road. There's something so stupid at the moment in the UK called smart motorways, where usually it's 3 carriageway lanes and then a hard shoulder, which is separated by a solid white line. 10 years ago, they introduced smart motorways, all 4 lanes open. If there's any kind of incident, you're to keep in the left-hand lane, which is still an open carriageway, but behind you there would be the overhead gantries, and it'd be either a green cross or whatever, a green arrow, thumbs up to say it's clear, or a red cross. Now it is behooving on the drivers on the road to take heed and adhere to the rules and get out of that lane. I'll look at the statistics, how many people have died on smart motorways since this was implemented. How many people have died on smart motorways since the scheme was introduced? At least 79 people have died on smart motorways since the scheme was introduced in 2010. Some reports note specific things like 38 deaths over a 5-year period, while others show total fatalities are rising as more of these roads are built. One of the most stupid ideas, as a professional driver, for I am allowed to say that because I have an advanced driving licence and I get paid to use that advanced driving licence, that is the criteria. Anybody who thought this would be a good idea should never be allowed, 1, to make laws, or 2, to drive again. So effing stupid. Well, that's how I don't know how up to date those numbers are, but that's nearly 100 people have died because of this idea. It's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's one death is too many. I don't know how many training courses I've been on where that has been a mantra. One death is too many, and it's a result of this scheme. They have rest periods, rest areas, and now they're spending stupidly large amounts of money to put it all right. Some people should just not be in the jobs they're in. Sorry, it made me a little bit angry with that, dude. This might be the same one as last time.
He was
That's
stupid,
the one.
trying to prove how tough he was.
I think one of my friends mentioned this one, so if this is yours, this is yours.
Go at them kids.
Why do you fly your kites round here, eh?
We thought it would be okay, but the wind changed.
Lucky they let go of it. They'd have been electrocuted.
We should have told the police.
Suppose he never knew about high voltage electricity.
You're crazy!
He ignored the danger signs.
Leave it there!
He was stupid. He wouldn't come down. He didn't know electricity would go through the kite. It just jumped through thin air.
Climbing pylons can kill. Don't take a chance with electricity.
Absolutely. One of the things we get talked about with the crane operating near pylons is arcing. You don't have to touch the cables for it to jump. And I've seen a video of what they call an Ainscough crane, which is a self-contained vehicle and crane, and the guy was reversed in between houses and was operating the crane and got too near, didn't touch the cables, just got close enough, and the video is horrible. It's from a distance, you can't see what's going on. Well, you can't see the specifics, but when the crane cab of a Ainscough truck is completely on fire, you know what's going on. Horrible. This one I remember.
May I have a word with you over here, please, madam? Is this all your baggage, madam?
The outcome of a sentimental impulse could mean a sentence of death for the animal you love and couldn't leave behind, and for you or someone like you, death in a manner that is beyond description. Whichever way you look at it, rabies means death.
That's another one of the late night videos. Several things about that stuck out with me. One, I don't remember seeing the poor child in the bed there, but I definitely remember her. But I'm thinking also, how does the act of carrying a cat in your bag, which is very unlikely, from somewhere like America, I doubt very much if that woman would ever gone into sub-Saharan Africa in her life, not in that hat. But how does the act of transporting a cat from one Western civilization country and landing over here in the United Kingdom, how does that give the animal rabies? It was a concept I didn't quite get. Obviously, that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is just carrying animals in general. They used a very bad example because that was not the atypical example of the kind of person who would bring in a possibly diseased animal. Now, when I went into Australia, when I flew into Australia in 2002, one thing they are very strict about is food. If you've ever seen like the custom shows, there's always an Oriental Asian elderly woman who has nothing to declare, and they open up her bags and she's got half a pig's head wrapped in cling film and newspaper in a bag. That's a bad example, but you can think there's no language barrier that could explain what you're trying to do. But one thing I found amazingly humorous was Australia is very strict about bringing food, especially fruit, or any kind of like fresh food into their country because they are absolutely paranoid about their ecosystem. And any kind of little bug that's being brought in to the country could devastate their entire ecosystem. You know, could happen. I think they had the cane toad thing. Somebody smuggled in a cane toad, and now it has decimated a large. I don't know what the exact situation, but that's what they're going on. But as you go into immigration or checking in, we stopped off at Singapore. That was fine, apart from the old boarding pass. Welcome to Singapore. Have a lovely stay. Death to drug traffickers under Singapore law, which is a terrifying concept, but okay, all I had on me with some boiled sweets. But we went from Singapore into Sydney, and as for whatever reason, and this is only detrimental, surrounded by Germans. 23 years ago, it's actually about this time. 23 years ago, Australia was a mecca for Germans, and we were surrounded by them everywhere. Nearly destroyed my dinner because they just put the seat back too far or too quickly on the plane. But that's another conversation. But there's a long snaking queue, like an amusement park, and there's signs everywhere: "Do not bring fresh fruit or vegetables into it." Now we knew because we'd read the bloody things, but all in the queue, you could see all these people just frantically eating apples. I'm going to eat my food, and they were like one in each hand. Just let it go, man. It's gone. You're not going to eat a whole bushel of apples. But honestly, just desperately trying to eat an apple as fast as they can before they got to the gate. It was hilarious to watch, actually, really hilarious. And I can see why people have these customs checks because people are stupid. Don't take cats into foreign countries because you're going to give everybody rabies. This one's quite cool in the wrong way, and I had to explain part of this. I'll run through this in a second. I had to explain part of this. So
a chip pan more than half full of oil or fat will bubble over when you add the chips and then catch fire. If this happens to you, first turn off the heat. Second, run a tea towel under a tap and wring it out till it's damp. Then place it over the flames. Finally, leave the pan alone until it's completely cooled down. Of course, if you don't overfill your chip pan, you won't have to do any of this. Fire. If you don't let it start, you won't have to stop it.
now that is obviously very, very dated for a very simple reason. Most people are now using air fryers. There's no oil involved. But back in the day, you would have a specific pan or pot or whatever you call it, saucepan, less than half filled with lard, which is beef fat. And when you let it cool down, it would solidify into this mass of fat. And you would warm it up, you'd heat it up, and then you'd put chips in, which is just, or fries. Thick, chunky fries for my American heathens. But the rule of thumb, don't go more than half full on the chip pan. Because when you put the chips in, especially if you rinse them off, the water would cause it to bubble over, as you saw. And I've actually had to do that method once. It was on a grill pan, not a chip pan, and we had a fire blanket handy. So I have had one situation, but I think I might. I don't know if I've got it on the playlist purely for public information. I don't think I've got it. Right, bear with me. I'm going to find another one. They got an example here, just showing that a bottle of water in a little pot. And the reason being, I actually had to explain this. I can't remember who to. Why it's so dangerous to do this. Now, if you know about oil and water, is that oil floats on water. So if you've got a chip pan that is already on fire and you throw water on it, two things are going to happen. One, the water is going to go straight to the bottom of the fire and it's going to instantly boil. So this is what's going to happen. I'll let this gentleman get to his work. And, so he forgot to turn the gas off, bless him. So yeah. So this wherever this is, but water into a boiling chip pan. Brace yourself. Anytime you like, dude. There you go. So the water goes to the bottom of the oil, blows the fire out. Water goes to the bottom of the oil, instantly boils, instantly evaporates, and just forces the fire everywhere. Yeah, so important public safety information there. All right, let's shut this window down. Let's get back to my other one. There's an old clunker. Remember the seatbelt one from earlier? This is another version. This is the moniker, the little mantra they put into us.
Everybody clunks. But not enough people click. And no matter how good they are at handling their cars,
Austin Maxim, I tell you, one of
know the
those.
road, everybody's equally likely to get involved in an accident. And without a seatbelt, you're twice as likely to be killed or seriously injured. So don't just be a clunker. Clunk, click.
I did extrapolate on that. The clunk clip every trip. Clunk click every trip. Kind of works. And again, seatbelts. Don't listen to the Ninja Sex Party. That's a gag.
Seatbelts! Don't use them. Seatbelts! They're for losers.
This one's very much a sign of the times, of its time.
If you leave a cigarette or pipe burning while you're out of the room, or if you don't make sure that stubs and matches are properly put out, and if they're near any upholstered furniture, you could be turning your house into a death trap. Watch this test and see just how fast fire in an upholstered armchair spreads. After only 2 minutes, deadly fumes and smoke begin to fill the room. Less than 1 minute after that, if you were in the house, you'd be affected by the smoke so fast, the chances are you'd never escape in time. So keep matches and lighted cigarettes away from upholstered furniture. Remember, smoke kills.
It does indeed. Not so much permanent these days as I think most furniture these days is anti-fire or fire retardant. They have to be. But the foam they used back in the day, it was just anything that was, if comfort over safety, put it that way. That include the fabric as well. I think I had a bit with one of my ex-girlfriends, fell asleep with a cigarette and burnt a hole in the sofa she was sitting on, just a hole. But as a testament to how safe it was, this was 91. I was 18, 19, so 91, 93. That's when how much safer it was than this was now. Because it didn't burn it was a cigarette and it caused a big old hole, burnt in the foam. But it didn't set on fire.
To you, it's just a worn-out fridge. But to a child, it's a caravan, a ship, a castle, even a bed. And a death trap, airtight and impossible to open from the inside. Don't let an old fridge be a new danger to children. Take off the door, or smash the lock, or better still, ask your local council to take it away or tell you how to dispose of it. Before it kills a child.
I've never had a fridge with a locking door. I've never been in a house in a fridge and a locking door. Why would you want a fridge with a locking door? These days it's all magnetic seals, so I take it in the 70s there were quite a lot, hence the necessity for a public information film about it. Saying that Indiana Jones got out of his fridge was definitely of its time. I used to smoke. Don't think I ever smoked in bed, not to this degree, and I don't think my dad did either. I mean, I smoked 20 a day, and this is just one of those things that's, I suppose, people used to do.
You'd best not smoke at all, but smoking in bed is like lighting a slow fuse. It'll get you in the end. Even if you're wide awake, sober and sensible, it's easy to drop some burning ash.
Imagine sleeping in that bed. Ugh. Now, at the time, I probably wouldn't mind, but ugh.
It'll smoulder, and you may not smell a thing. It'll give off fumes that will make you dopey. When later it flares up, you may be too far gone to escape. Smoking in bed is like lighting a slow fuse. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't smoke in bed.
Death bomb.
I think this is a parody. Reason being, there's 3 Wilhelm screams in this. Actually, I'm going to skip this. I'm not going to do this one. Skip this. Okay, I'm going to skip this one because it's a parody. I don't think it's meant to be a series. I think the original footage was serious, but it's since been usurped and seen as a bit of a joke. I'm not going to show it. There's public information. No, it's not public. It's a forklift driver safety video called "Forklift Driver Klaus." It's hilarious. He never knew the Germans had such good senses of humour. I'll link it below. If I remember, I'll link it below. If I don't, remind me, and I'll add it later. It's got the original German Hangstenfrauder Klaus or something along those lines. It's really funny. So I've actually been showing it a couple of times in forklift training exercises when we actually get. It sounds a comedy thing, but there is a serious undertone kind of thing. This is in the playlist. Watch if you want, but I'm going to skip to the next one because of who presents it, and then I think we're getting to the end.
Just look at them. They must be crackers. A double-decker bus could be right on top of them and they'd never even see it. Hey, you must be out of your tiny minds. When you cross the road, always use the green cross code. Keep your wits about you and keep looking and listening. Great. See you, girls. Take it from me. Be smart. Be safe.
Now, obviously, this guy is Alvin Stardust, who was a rocker of sorts. I think they tried to put himself across as the next British Elvis. I personally can't recall a single track. If I listened to his music again, I would probably remember it. It's like Schwaddy Waddy. They're playing Dreamland soon, I think. And I was chatting to my boss about I can't remember any of their songs. Never did Under the Moon of Love, and they did these other songs as well. Young and in Love. Flying Pickets covered one of their songs. But anyway, I've put this one in because this was around the 1970s, and it wasn't long after this idea, the Green Cross Code, got kind of taken over and made a much more popular by a certain Mr. David Prowse. So let's go on to the next one.
Hi there. I've been watching him. He finds a safe place, stops, and stands well back from the curb. He always stops before crossing the road, looks and listens, and off he goes, looking and listening all the way. He's great. I'm going down. Congratulations. You really know what you're doing. Always use the green cross code, because I won't be there when you cross the road.
So poorly done. So bad. So bad. However, so iconic. And the reason I've put him in, one, because it was, again, formative of our youth, but this was a year before Star Wars. He'd done Clockwork Orange, so he wasn't yet Darth Vader. But I met Dave Prowse in 1980, because he came to our school, the same school where we sat on the floor and watched Robbie getting electrocuted on the train lines. He came in, did a whole hour-long spiel about road safety. He picked small children up because he was a giant of a man. And when he picked you up, you felt it. There's like thinner air up there. He sang a song, Stop, Look, Listen, and Think. I think that's how it went. It was banal, but it was all about... And just before he left, he went to the door and says, "Oh, before I forget, don't forget to watch Empire Strikes Back when it comes out in the cinema later this year." So this must have been early part of 1980, because I think all the Star Wars came out in May in the UK. So yeah, I've met Dave Prowse. I think I've got another couple here, and they're all equally as awful. And then they'll wrap this up.
Emergency! Calling Green Cross Man! Green crosses! Where do you think you're going, you dumbo?
Green Cross.
When you get to the curb, always stop, stop, stop.
Sorry, Green Cross.
Remember, stop near the curb, not on it. That's the way. Always use the Green Cross code, because I won't be there when you cross the road.
Okay, I think that'll do for today's Fun and Frivolity. Let's shut this one down. Okay, so that'll do for those. So there's a fair few there, and a fair few I remember from my youth. Couple there bit woolly, but I love most of those. I remember either being on the TV, definitely remember the bear trap one, little sparklers, the ones right at the start. There's no one about not throwing fireworks. Yeah, so that was my formative youth, and a lot of that did stick with me. We mock them now. I mean, the Charlie with the Prodigy, ingrained in the public psyche, as I said, but because of the Prodigy, everybody remembered, always tell your mummy before you go off somewhere, you know. Well, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to turn that in now because it's been about an hour and the crazy person has started to make noise in the house. So I better get the green screen down just in case. Thanks very much for watching. If you want me to, if you remember any more, talk about them down below, link them down below. I hope you found this informative. I hope you found this entertaining. I'm not going to go into the Green Cross Code robot they tried to introduce, who was just a rip-off of Metal Mickey. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and that will do for this evening. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.